Recording in progress.
Welcome to Local Everywhere. I'm Cynthia Fuller, and my guest is Rachel Bell. And Rachel Bell plays the accordion, and she's a musician. So, Rachel, why don't you take over? How did you get started with music and explain your music?
Well, good morning, Cynthia. Thanks for having me. I was glad to get your call and find out about your project that you're doing. I do play the accordion. It's true. I play not the stereotypical oompa or polka style accordion that a lot of people think of. What I play is actually Celtic music and French music. I play a lot for dancing. So, country dancing, French dancing, English country dancing. And if you don't know, there's a thriving scene all over the United States and beyond, all over the world, really, of these types of dance. And it's such fun. It's such a wonderful community and such fun music because there's all this interaction between the musicians and the dancers. It's a real like community event. So I play for the dancing a lot. I also play concerts and give workshops and teach lessons and compose. It's a whole big musical life full of a bunch of different stuff.
How long have you been involved with music?
Ever since I can remember. I grew up playing the piano. I was very fortunate in that there was a piano in the house and my family was musical and my parents got me into lessons right away. And so I took piano lessons the whole time growing up and sang in choirs and just like ate up music however I could in whatever ways I could. And along that way, I stumbled into, like, I was primarily focused on classical and church music at that time. And then somewhere along the way, like in my teens, I bumped into some folk music and Irish music, and I just fell in love with it and started going to festivals and listening to tons of recordings and then I found French and Breton. So Breton as in the Celtic part of France, the northwestern part of France. My parents took me as a teenager to a summer festival in the DC area, and I heard people playing this music from the northwest of France, and I was just completely captivated, just like that. It was instantaneous, and I've been into that music ever since. And I ended up I went on to college to study classical music. So I studied classical piano really seriously, got a bachelor's degree in music education so I could teach, and then I went on and got a master's in piano performance. But along in that time, I started playing more and more of this dance music, and I discovered that rather than being shut in a practice room on my own for 6 hours a day, I could be collaborating with other people and composing and arranging, and then playing for dancing where there's a whole room full of people who are like creating the experience all together. And I was totally smitten. So I sort of left the classical world behind and dove in deep to this world.
So you went from the piano to the accordion.
I did.
So what interests you about the accordion?
You know, I remember like growing up, my grandmother would say, "You should really play the accordion. It's a lost art." And I would say, "No, I wanted nothing to do with it," because I'd only heard, you know, the kind of typical like polka style accordion. And I have utmost respect for people who play those styles on the accordion, but it just wasn't for me. But as I was in college studying music education, playing all these different instruments, my flute teacher had an accordion. Her name is Sue Crane, and she just put an accordion in my hands. Like she knew I was into like Irish music and French music, and she said, "Here, take this home and try it." And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want that. And then I took it home, and I just fell in love because it's so versatile. Like on a piano accordion, you can play in every key. It's not diatonic, it's chromatic. So you can play in every key. You can play lots of different styles. It's like strapped to your body. And I
Hmm.
loved the feeling that it's like vibrating with me. It's almost like becomes part of my body. It's like having another limb or something. And and then I heard some people, really amazing players in this kind of Celtic folk English French tradition. So I heard this guy, Jeremiah McLean, who's still doing amazing musical stuff here in Vermont. And I also heard a woman named Karen Tweed, who's in the UK. And my mind was blown. I heard them play and I was like, want to do that. So anybody out there who is curious should look up Karen Tweed, Jeremiah McLean. They were my inspiration to get into accordion.
So was the transition from piano to accordion smooth?
You know, the piano background certainly informed and continues to inform everything I do. I'm so grateful that I had all that training because of the fingering and the navigation of scales and arpeggios and everything. But so one thing that you have to get used to with the accordion is, so you got your piano on one side on this type of accordion, but then over here there are all these buttons, and there's a dent in this one. This is the C, and there's a bump on the E, and there's a bump on the A flat, and then everything else you just have to know by feel, because when it's strapped on like this, you cannot see over there. So you have to know all of that bass end of the accordion. That's like the bass side, the chord side, sort of the lower sounds. When you're playing over there, you just have to know by feel. You have to know the patterns. It makes sense in in theory for any excuse me, for any like music theory buffs out there. It's arranged in the circle of fifths, and then there's a row of major chords and a row of minor chords. It all makes sense, but it's just this sea of buttons over here. So
Hmm.
that takes a long time to work on. And then the other thing is, it's really like three instruments. You got your keys, and then the buttons with the bass and chords, and then you can hear the breathing, the
Hmm.
bellows. And what I didn't expect, and what was like a probably the hardest transition from piano to accordion, was that you have to treat it like it's a choir or like you're singing. And you have to think about where to breathe, and you have to think about how to control that air, because otherwise you get things like this where you're pulling the bellows out, and then you run out of air, and you get this like this kind of hitch in sound as you're reversing the bellows. So piano background really really helped, and also it's not the same instrument, so there are a lot of differences.
Is the accordion a big thing? Do a lot of people use the accordion?
It's all over, yeah, it's all over the world, in many 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 different styles of music. um, and I think it's becoming more popular again. I think it had a dip. It was really popular decades ago when people would play in, many many kids grew up playing in the like accordion orchestras, and then that kind of waned, and people were more into playing guitar and things like that. which is still true, but I think accordion's kind of having a comeback. You hear it sometimes in popular music now. Like if you if you lean your ear up, have your ear out when you're listening to the radio, you'll sometimes hear it.
What bands play the accordion?
What bands play the accordion?
Yeah. If I
Well,
put the radio on, who would I hear that play the accordion?
I'm not a great one to talk about like popular music on the radio because I don't listen to it that much, honestly. But there is a band, I know of a band called Congos, Kongos, and they have a great there are really great accordion parts in their music. And I just know that I stumble across it all the time. And in like indie bands use it a lot. And then of course all these folk styles like the Celtic world and the French ball folk is a real popular folk style in France that's spreading around North America, and that has a lot of accordion in it. So it's everywhere. All you got to do is look for it.
So do you play other people's music or do you create your own?
Ah, what a good question. So I would say that my music is balanced between tunes that are hundreds and hundreds of years old. So I love that repertoire. I love traditional music that's been around for hundreds of years because I feel like if a tune or a melody has stuck around for that long, there's something really good about it. So that's part of what I do, and then I do write a lot of my own stuff, and many of my friends and musical colleagues also write. And one of my pandemic projects, in fact, was to make this book. So this is all of my tunes, or at least it was a lot of my tunes up until the book got published, and now there have been new ones since then. So I write in a style. It's this folk music, Celtic music style, and basically in this style we just write a melody line and some chords, and then there's a lot of collaboration and improvisation to bring the rest of the composition to life. So I feel like it's true that I write these melodies, but my bandmates are as much a part of this music as I am because I put the melody, that simple melody line in front of them, and then they expand it with the harmonies and the backup parts and all the other parts.
What kind of venues do you do?
What kind of venues?
Yeah.
All kinds. Many dance weekends. So there are all over the country. There are contra dances and contra dance weekends, and that is a kind of social dance where you don't have to have any experience. You just show up, and there's a caller on the stage with a microphone telling you what to do, and you don't have to come with a partner. You dance with anyone you want, and you change partners a lot. You dance with lots of different people in the room, and it's just a walking step. So that's really fun. So I play a lot of those events, a lot of like folk music camps, English country dances. That's another style, slightly different style of dancing. So those venues I play a lot. And then a lot of concert venues like, let's see, you're in Albany, right? I'm trying to think of the closest things. I've played a lot of those like upstate New York, central New York. There are these little opera houses that I've played a lot, or folk music clubs, or even house concerts, folk music like concert series, sometimes library concerts, sometimes university concerts, all kinds of different stuff.
So would you play a song for us?
I would love to play, yeah. How about I'll play... maybe I'll play two of my compositions. I'll play something slow, and then I'll go into something a little faster, so you get like a little variety. I'm trying to get a little more of the accordion in the screen. my students, I have a lot of online students, and oftentimes to get the accordion in the screen, we have to cut off their heads. I'm used to seeing a lot of headless accordion students just because it's hard to get the whole accordion in the screen. Let's see. Okay. So I'll start out playing a tune that I wrote. This is in my book. So if you're a musician and you want to try these tunes out, they're very accessible. And I'll play this one. It's called We're Not Broken.
Okay.
And I wrote this tune for my bandmate, Karen Axelrod, an amazing piano player. When I was in a period of my life where everything was breaking, like the things were falling off the walls and the oven was breaking and the carbon monoxide detector was going off and the fire department was showing up, and then the microwave that I bought because the oven wasn't working also broke, and then the oven broke again, and we all have those times. So everything was breaking. I was very frustrated. I showed up at a gig and I was complaining to my bandmate Karen about this, and we started playing music. And sometimes when you start playing music with your bandmates, all your troubles just melt away. Like, you don't care anymore that your oven is broken. You're just kind of in the moment. And she was sitting there at the piano playing, and she turned around and she said, "We're not broken." So I wrote this tune and I called it We're Not Broken.
Okay.
You probably don't want a headless person. And now I'll give you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Now I'll give you a little sample of a contrasting style, if that's okay.
Okay.
I'll do something a little faster. Let's see. I'll just start the right tune.
So does it take a lot of coordination to do, to get everything together, like the chords and the keys and everything?
It does take a little while. Yeah, I work with a lot of students, and that's always that's a tricky part is getting the hands to work together, doing separate things. Yeah.
Would you
Those were
say
two.
that?
So those were two tunes. The second two that I played were compositions of mine as well, and those were two. They are my autocorrect tunes. They're tunes that I named after autocorrects that came to my phone from my best friend. So one of them is called Borodingo Oasis, which was supposed to be boarding pass. That was an autocorrect. And the second one is Duck Duck Go, which was supposed to be, it was autocorrect from Packing Sucks. And those are in the English country dance styles, choreographed. So there are dances to those tunes, choreography written by Susan Kevra in Nashville.
So you don't see many people playing the accordion. Do you consider the accordion a lost art?
I think it's coming back. I mean, I think it did kind of dip for a while. I think people kind of lost interest, but I feel like more and more people, certainly more people in my circles. I can talk, I can speak about my kind of folk dance music circles. There are definitely more people starting to play, learning to play in this kind of genre.
So tell us a little bit where they can get your music.
Oh, thank you. I have a website, rachelbellmusic.com. That's like the quickest, easiest way to track me down. And I would love for people to go check out my band. Eloise and Company has a whole website within that website. And we have CDs and we have these cool music videos that we made in Vermont last year. And my bands, Alchemy and Peregrine Road, also have some videos and CDs. I have a solo CD that has me plus a bunch of other colleagues. Susan Kevra, who I mentioned, is on that as well. And then I have this tune book. And so if people want a chance to try out playing some of the tunes, there's a link to get to this book on my website. And yeah, feel free to write me with questions, or if you are interested in online accordion lessons, or if you have, a cool concert venue, send me a message.
Now, how far is your radius when you play?
Well, I'm based in Brattleboro, Vermont, so I'm based in Southern Vermont, as are some of my bandmates. And I also have a bandmate in Nashville, and all of us play kind of all over the place, all over North America. I'm heading to California next week, and Idaho the week after that, and Washington State the week after that. And sometimes we get to Canada and to the UK and to France and other places. So it's a busy life all over the place.
That's great.
Yeah, so look at my calendar if anyone's tuning in, and see if there's a venue near you, or find out if there's a contra dance near you to go try it out.
So how would they contact you?
Right on my website, rachelbellmusic.com, there's a contact form, and you can also just email Rachel at rachelbellmusic. That's RACHEL. I'm easy to get in touch with that way.
Great. So you've been listening to Rachel Bell, who's a wonderful accordionist. Is that correct? Accordionist?
Accordionist, yeah, I think that works.
And I'm Cynthia Pooler. This is Vocal Everywhere. So if you like this show, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Rachel, you're terrific. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thanks for having me. Nice to get to chat with you.